Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be looking at a few methods of how you can roll up your RPG character in a way that makes more sense in terms of their character development. So there's nothing worse than getting stuck into an RPG campaign with a character that was kind of doomed from the start because when you rolled him up you had a few bad rolls. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some alternative methods of how we can roll up our characters in a way that makes them more fun to play, a little more fair, so that if you do get unlucky and roll all ones or all twos, for example, you're not doomed to that character from the start. The only thing that's important in this whole video is that everyone in your group, in your campaign, must follow these same rules. It's not fair if everyone else is rolling the standard roll 3d6 and you are playing with, and then the way you're playing is by using one of these alternatives. Nothing wrong with these alternatives, but it's just important that in the interests of fairness for the group and the campaign as a whole, that everyone does these things the same way. So the first one I want to show you is what we call the locked dice technique. So what the locked dice technique means is that if you're in a game where, say for example, to roll up your character, you're going to roll 3d6, okay? Oh, that's actually a very nice roll. I wouldn't mind that. But what the locked dice technique means is that you take one of your 3 dice and you lock it on its highest possible value. So a 6, and then what you do is you roll the other 2. Okay? And what that means is that you're always going to get a minimum of 8 out of 18, which is not a bad place to be. Okay? 8 is like, it's not super strong, but it's not average either. And it just prevents you from rolling, like there we go. You can still roll quite low. There I got an 8. But it still prevents you from rolling things like a 5, which is obviously not ideal. So that's one method you can use, the locked dice technique. And there's a few alternate ways around this, depending on what it is that you want to accomplish. Say, for example, to roll a character in whatever RPG system you're using calls for a roll on a d20. What you can then do is take 3 d6s and a d4, and you can lock that d4 on 2, and then roll the 3 d6s and add them to that. So we've got 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 out of 20. The problem with a d20 or any of these big dices is the range is massive. So you can roll all the way from a 1 to a 20. And now, so the fluctuations between the highest and the lowest values are very, very large. So that's not ideal. So technique number 1 is the locked dice technique. Technique number 2 is what we call the extra dice technique. So say, for example, we're in that same system where you need to roll 3d6s. What we do with the extra dice technique is we roll 1 additional dice. So this is kind of a Yahtzee sort of mechanic. Well, not a Yahtzee mechanic. This is just kind of a mechanism for mitigating a risk. Take these, you roll them. Oh, let me bring them all into the camera here. And what you do is you then discard the lowest one. So we have 14 in this example. I'm going to do another example just to show you exactly what I mean. So we roll 4d6 instead of 3. There I've got 2 1s and 2 5s. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of one of the 1s and the rest will stay. So, or a 5 and a 3, sorry. So that's the one method we can talk about. The last technique I want to show you is what I call overrolling. So say for example you have a RPG system that requires 5 key stats. Your strength, your intelligence, your power, charisma, whatever it is. 5 key stats. What you're going to do then is roll, say, and you'll decide this with your GM as a group, you'll roll your dice 8 times. And when you're assigning your stats, you'll obviously just choose the highest 6, or the 6 that are most appropriate to your character. Or the 5, sorry, the 5 that are most appropriate to your character. So what you do is you roll for more stats than you actually need, and then you can cherry pick later, remove ones that are maybe lower than some of the others. So that's one other alternative way of doing it. We call that overrolling. So basically, in a nutshell, I only need 5 stat rolls. I'm going to roll for 6. Even just 1 extra can make a huge difference. I'm going to roll for 6. You can obviously combine these together. So I'm going to do my overrolling with a locked dice or with an extra dice, and just do things that way. And that's just a few alternative ways you can think about when you're rolling up your RPG character. Like I said, the most important thing here is that everyone in your campaign plays by the same rules. Because remember, the most important thing about it is to have fun. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. And until next time, have fun, play good games, and roll nice and high. Goodbye.